to control it. But there were nights when we couldn't bomb because the clouds were too low. You know, there were times when we were hitting the wrong targets. You know, people came to me very late at night showing me photographs, you know, and I had to sort of sign the bottom in order to say that they could bomb. Well, you're never going to get complete success. After the violence, the hideous violence perpetrated by Milosevic's military and the paramilitaries as well, you were not going to create Switzerland or Scotland overnight. So we fully recognized that, and we were intent on mitigating the worst excesses of that, and I believe that we did, and we created the conditions whereby, you know, a reasonable degree of stability and peace was going to be restored. And some of the stories that were told at the time, and I remember on the streets, you know, of people being protected. But, you know, you can't have a period where Serbia or Milosevic was ethnically cleansing an area and then people are going to sort of smile and be terribly grateful for it. There is bound to be a period beyond which you build the multi-ethnic country again.
So what was the toughest time? Can you remember the toughest night, sleepless night, anything that kept you awake, or some situation where you thought, well, I'm not going to be able to control this?
Well, I don't think at any point we thought we weren't going to control it, but there were nights when we couldn't bomb because the clouds were too low. You know, there were times when we were hitting the wrong targets. You know, people came to me very late at night showing me photographs, you know, and I had to sort of sign the bottom in order to say that they could bomb, and the next day the building wasn't there. You know, when I was Secretary General of NATO, one of my last visits was to Belgrade, and they took me on a tour of all the buildings we bombed during that period.
Really?
You know, the General Staff Headquarters, the Ministry of Defence, the Ministry of the Interior Police Headquarters, you know. But we forensically did it. This must be the only time in recorded history where a capital city was bombed and nobody left. Nobody left, because our bombing was designed to take out the heartland of the military endeavour, and no more than that. And these buildings were all destroyed, and even the trees round about them untouched.
Because I've embarked on a project looking at archives of that time, I go to Belgrade to find the archives, and exactly the building you're talking about, which is really interesting, how Serbs, 25 years on, the military building in the center of town, that is a huge compound, the center of the HQ of a Serbian army, is still destroyed. They refuse to rebuild it. And it had, now it had something new I had never seen before. A huge flag inscription that goes all along the road saying, "When the army returns to Kosovo." When the army returns to Kosovo. It's a famous saying, "Kad se vojska vrati na Kosovo." We didn't have this kind of revival of an ambition that Serbia is showing, of wanting, at least declaratively, to come back to Kosovo. How do you see this revival? Why do you think it's happening?
I think it's just empty rhetoric. You know, there is a rise of ethnic nationalism in this region and elsewhere. The European election results, unfortunately, show the rise of the far nationalist right at the present moment, and I think it's reflected there as well. You know, deep down, the Prime Minister of Serbia knows that his people want to be in the European Union. They want to be part of the European mainstream.